12 signs a woman is ready for intimacy with you. Vertical bar psychology insights. When a woman feels comfortable enough to share her body, her time, and her vulnerability with you, she almost never states it directly. Instead, as Maya Angelou once wisely said, when someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time. When it comes to intimacy, what she communicates through her behavior often speaks much louder than any bold statement ever could. She isn't going to sit across from you and openly declare that she's ready. Rather, she reveals it through consistency, through the gentle softness in her eyes, the way her attention lingers on you, and how her emotional guard slowly begins to lower. True desire shows itself through comfort, not through performance. Many men miss these signals because they expect something dramatic, fireworks, obvious hints, or a clear invitation, but genuine attraction is usually quiet and subtle. It exists in layers of psychology and instinct. You notice it in the way she holds eye contact, just a moment longer than necessary, how she finds small reasons to remain close to you, or how she invests emotional attention without being prompted. Real intimacy is never about pressure. It's a quiet alignment built on safety, trust, and emotional timing. When those elements come together, her behavior starts to become intentionally clear. This discussion matters because recognizing readiness isn't about conquest, it's about awareness, maturity, and respect. It's about understanding that when a woman feels safe, valued, and emotionally understood, her openness unfolds naturally. Focus on patterns rather than isolated moments. Notice her comfort level, not just the chemistry between you. And if you recognize these signs in your own experiences, take a moment to reflect on them, learn from them, and think about which one resonates most with you. Because insight begins with observation, and mastery begins with awareness. 1. Subtle changes in presence and proximity. Small shifts in how she positions herself around you often reveal far more than grand romantic gestures ever could. If you're a man between 35 and 70 who wants clarity instead of confusion, learning to recognize these signals with calm awareness is essential. Yes, every woman is unique, but female psychology still follows certain patterns. When she genuinely feels attracted to you, her nervous system often responds before her words ever do. That's simply how attraction works. The first clue often appears in her physical presence. A woman who isn't interested usually keeps her distance. Her posture may remain closed, her torso angled away, and her energy somewhat guarded. But when attraction begins to grow, she naturally moves a little closer, not in a dramatic or theatrical way, just subtly, almost like gravity quietly pulling things together. This is where psychological awareness comes in. It's not about manipulation, it's about understanding the natural rhythm of attraction while staying composed and confident. Maybe her knees slowly turn in your direction under the table. Perhaps her shoulders square toward you as you talk. These small, almost unconscious adjustments often say more than words ever could. Maybe she stays beside you a moment longer than necessary when you're standing together. Psychologists often describe this as proxemic behavior. We naturally turn our bodies toward what we want, and we lean closer to what feels good to us. That's why you should pay attention to the direction of her body. The body is rarely dishonest. Don't overlook those tiny adjustments. Notice the small inches she gradually closes between you. That is intention expressed quietly, without a single word being spoken. And it isn't only about physical closeness, it's also about comfort. Her tone becomes softer, her laughter flows more naturally, even her breathing slows down. Relaxation is one of the clearest indicators of trust. Tension protects, ease invites. And when a woman feels safe, her defenses lower almost automatically. That's female psychology in action. It's not a performance, it's instinct. If you're a wise man, you respond with calm steadiness. You don't rush things, and you don't apply pressure. Attraction deepens in environments that feel relaxed and secure. I once worked with a couple in their late 50s, and the husband told me, "I knew she liked me because every week she ended up sitting one chair closer to me." That's often how attraction unfolds, inch by inch, week after week. Subtle, but consistent. Consistency is the real signal. Not a single playful glance, but repeated closeness, repeated comfort, repeated moments where her energy softens around you. Don't spend all your attention chasing obvious signals while overlooking the quiet ones. Don't demand verbal confirmation when her body language is already communicating clearly. Instead, become the kind of man who understands psychological insights as tools for perception, not control. Study female psychology so you can build connection, not feed your ego. Because when you truly understand how love begins, you realize it starts with awareness, patience, and emotional stability. And when she gradually moves closer, when her posture opens, when her voice relaxes, that's not random, that's alignment. Your role is to meet that moment with confidence, warmth, and restraint. Attraction grows strongest in the presence of a man who observes carefully, moves calmly, and understands what subtle closeness really means. 2. Eye contact and self-soothing gestures. Now let's talk about her eyes. Not the dramatic staring you see in movies, and not the exaggerated gaze people imagine romance should look like. Real attraction is quieter and more refined. One of the strongest signals that a woman may be open to deeper intimacy isn't constant, unbroken eye contact. It's the pattern of looking and then briefly looking away. She meets your eyes and holds them just long enough for that spark to register. Then she breaks the gaze. That brief pause, that gentle retreat, is often a sign of vulnerability, and vulnerability is rarely accidental. As writer Annie Dillard once expressed, "We don't see things as they are, we see them as we are." So when she looks at you and then glances away, it isn't necessarily rejection. Often she's processing the moment, feeling the energy, deciding whether you feel safe, steady, and grounded. In other words, she's quietly asking herself if you are the kind of man who understands tension without rushing to force it. This is why attention to detail matters. Attraction often reveals itself through small movements. For example, she might briefly glance at your lips while you're talking. She might glance at your lips during conversation. That's rarely accidental. Often it's her subconscious briefly imagining intimacy before anything actually happens. You might also notice her sliding her hair behind her ear, lightly touching her collarbone, tracing the chain of her necklace, or adjusting a bracelet without any clear reason. Have you ever seen a woman gently bite her lip while she's listening to you, or smooth the fabric of her dress as you speak? These are commonly known as self-soothing gestures. Her body is alert. Her nervous system is activated, not anxious but stimulated. And there's an important difference between those two states. Don't mistake a bit of nervous energy for a lack of interest. The key is to stay observant and relaxed. A high-value man doesn't become uneasy in these moments. He remains steady and grounded. That calm presence is exactly what allows him to attract women naturally. When she lightly touches her neck, her wrist, or the base of her throat while maintaining eye contact, her body is often regulating rising emotions. Psychologists refer to these actions as pacifying behaviors. The body naturally looks for comfort when emotions intensify, and attraction is a form of intensity. It raises the heart rate, it sharpens awareness, it makes small gestures carry more meaning than words. Understanding this is important. When a woman begins these self-soothing movements around you while still holding playful eye contact, she isn't withdrawing, she's slowly opening up. Carefully, that's trust in motion. Don't rush her. Don't disrupt the rhythm of the moment. Masculine energy isn't about pressure, it's about presence. Move a little slower. Let your voice soften slightly. Hold eye contact for a moment longer, then be the one who gently breaks it. That shows control. That shows confidence. That's how a grounded man communicates readiness without saying anything at all. In today's dating world, where distractions are everywhere and attention often feels cheap, focused eye contact has become rare. Treat it like valuable currency. Use it intentionally. Be deliberate. Be aware. Remember this. Attraction is rarely loud. It whispers. It appears in the eyes. It trembles through small movements of the hands and fingers. If she looks at you, glances away, touches her collarbone, adjusts her bracelet, and then meets your gaze again, her body has already moved a little closer emotionally. Your role is simple. Stay composed and lead with calm, confident energy. That's how you attract women without chasing them. That's how you recognize when a moment carries genuine meaning. So now you understand what's really happening when she looks at you and quickly looks away, when her eyes briefly drop to your lips, when she touches her collarbone or lightly fixes her bracelet. Those moments are not random. They reveal vulnerability. They reveal tension, and very often they reveal attraction. Attraction unfolding right in front of you. Don't hesitate. Don't overanalyze the moment. Stay calm, stay steady, hold your frame, and lead with quiet confidence. If you're ready to recognize these moments and respond with clarity, drop this in the comments right now. I see the signs, and I move with confidence. Give this video a like, subscribe for more sharp psychological insights, and remember this: awareness creates advantage. 3. Emotional vulnerability comes before physical closeness. A mature woman rarely moves toward physical intimacy carelessly. She takes that step only after emotional safety has been established. For many women, intimacy begins in the mind and heart, long before it ever becomes physical. When she starts sharing personal experiences, her fears, past disappointments, or the quiet struggles she usually keeps to herself, that isn't casual conversation, and it's never random. That is intentional vulnerability. She isn't just talking, she's observing. She's quietly evaluating your reaction. She's measuring your emotional stability. In many ways, she's asking a silent question: can I trust you with the softer, more fragile parts of who I am? And if you miss that moment, you miss everything. As Maya Angelou once said, people may forget what you said or did, but they never forget how you made them feel. If she feels safe, she gradually opens up. If she feels judged or dismissed, she closes off just as quickly. It really is that simple. Men who understand this dynamic succeed not by rushing things, but by holding emotional ground with calm strength. This idea echoes ancient Stoic wisdom: master yourself first, and you naturally create safety for others. A strong mind is not cold, it's steady. It listens without interrupting. It responds without reacting impulsively. It protects without becoming controlling. In today's world, where distractions are constant and attention spans are shallow, true emotional presence has become rare. When she shares something meaningful and you remain composed, respectful, and centered, you demonstrate leadership without needing to say it. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. That is your advantage." Don't rush the process, and don't mistake vulnerability for weakness. That's where many men go wrong. Emotional openness is often the doorway. It's the space where connection begins before desire deepens. If she regularly confides in you, asks for your perspective, and relaxes while discussing sensitive parts of her life, she isn't just talking, she's forming attachment, and attachment almost always comes before intimacy. Remember this clearly. Repeat it if you have to. Emotional safety comes first. Emotional safety always. That's how real attraction develops. And that's how connection grows into something meaningful, something that lasts beyond a single moment. In the Stoic way, you develop such control over yourself that she no longer feels the need to protect herself around you. In the Stoic philosophy, this is how you succeed. You practice ancient Stoic principles until calmness becomes part of who you are, not something you pretend to show. Build that iron mind. Stay grounded when she opens up. Maintain eye contact. Let your voice slow down. Keep your reactions measured and controlled. Real strength is quiet. True certainty feels calm. When she senses that your presence is stable, not reactive, not needy, not impatient, she begins to relax even more deeply. And when that relaxation happens, intimacy is no longer a question of if, but simply when. This isn't manipulation. It's discipline. It's awareness. Master this, and you master one of the most important foundations of genuine connection. 4. Emotional screening. Before physical closeness, now let's go deeper into another signal many men overlook. She begins imagining you as part of her world. This is not casual curiosity, it's emotional evaluation. When she asks about your values, your patience, how you deal with pressure, or how you react when things don't go your way, she isn't just making conversation, she's quietly assessing emotional safety. In female psychology, intimacy is rarely impulsive. It unfolds in layers, tested, observed, and internally confirmed. A woman will rarely offer true physical closeness to a man she doesn't emotionally trust. Safety is what opens the door to surrender, not pressure, not performance. Safety. If she's picturing how you might fit into her daily life, how you'd exist within her routines, her challenges, even her quiet evenings, she's already mentally rehearsing connection. This is one of the most powerful psychological insights to understand. Many women bond through anticipation before action, so don't dismiss her questions as random. Don't respond carelessly. Stay steady, stay clear, stay grounded. That's exactly what she's observing. When someone begins to matter emotionally, the nervous system often reacts before words appear. You might notice a sudden nervous laugh, small fidgeting with her hands, or a burst of expressiveness that wasn't there earlier. Sometimes even her breathing changes when the conversation becomes more personal. This isn't immaturity, it's emotional activation. It's the body recognizing that the moment carries meaning. In female psychology, emotional excitement and physical readiness are often closely linked. If she feels nothing, you'll see very little change, but if she feels something, her energy will shift. Desire creates movement. The atmosphere changes. Eye contact lasts just a bit longer. Her tone softens. Her questions become more personal. She wants to understand how to fall in love safely, even if she never says those exact words. And here's an important truth to remember. Neutrality is the opposite of desire. If she remains completely calm, completely polite and emotionally unchanged around you, there may be respect, but there's no spark. Attraction activates the nervous system. It creates a subtle tension, a quiet spark in the air. As the philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche once said, there is always some madness in love, but there is also always some reason in madness. That emotional activation is the madness. Her thoughtful questions about your character, that's the reason. Both elements need to exist together. Don't rush the process. Don't try to force things forward. Instead, be the man who stays centered while she sorts through her feelings. That's how love develops in a way that actually lasts. Understand these psychological insights. Study female psychology with patience and maturity. When she starts imagining you as part of her world, when her body shows subtle sparks of emotional activation, and when her curiosity about your inner life grows deeper, she isn't just talking, she's deciding, and your calm strength will influence whether that decision continues forward. If this perspective opened your eyes, don't just move on, apply it. Understand this clearly. Intimacy is never only physical. It begins with emotional safety, trust, and that spark that sets energy in motion. When she asks about your values, your patience, or how you deal with pressure, she isn't making small talk. She's evaluating whether you are a place where she can safely soften. That is your moment to rise with calm strength and grounded presence. So here's something I want you to do. Drop this sentence in the comments and claim it. Safety creates desire, and I lead with strength and calm. If you're serious about mastering connection, like this video, subscribe and step into relationships with confidence and clarity. 5. Imagining you in her world. Another powerful signal appears when she begins small physical contact. Not dramatic, not obvious, subtle. Maybe she straightens your collar as if it truly needed fixing. Maybe she brushes a piece of invisible lint from your jacket. Perhaps her fingers rest on your forearm for just half a second longer than necessary. That extra half second matters. Don't dismiss it. Pay attention. That moment isn't random. It's intention wrapped in softness. Women are usually selective about touch. Touch carries meaning. Touch builds a bridge. And when she is the one who steps across that bridge first, she isn't simply being polite. She's testing the energy between you. In a quiet way, she's asking, is this man safe? Is he grounded? Is he a high-value man who understands presence? Understand this clearly. She isn't only touching fabric. She's sensing energy. She's reading your masculine presence in real time. Do you tense up? Do you grab too quickly? Do you overreact? Don't. Stay steady. Stay warm. That is strength. A grounded man doesn't rush the moment. He receives it. He allows it to breathe. Her nervous system is reading you faster than her words ever could. When her hand lingers, she's measuring your response. Are you gentle? Are you attentive? Are you respectful? Those 3 questions decide everything. If you react with impatience, the door quietly closes. If you apply pressure, the emotional temperature drops. Her body will pull back before her mind even has time to explain why. Attraction often fades silently, but if you respond with calm presence, trust deepens. If your eye contact stays relaxed, if your smile is slow and confident, and if your posture communicates, I'm here and I'm in control of myself, that energy becomes magnetic. That's how you attract women without chasing them. As Maya Angelou once said, people rarely forget how you made them feel. In that small moment of touch, you're creating a feeling. Make it a feeling of safety, mixed with subtle excitement. Never underestimate these micro moments. They aren't accidents, they're invitations. A woman who is open to deeper intimacy rarely announces it directly. Instead, she communicates softly and intelligently, through closeness, through light touches, through the space she allows you to enter. When she initiates contact, she's exploring alignment. She wants to see whether your masculine energy is calm or chaotic, grounded or scattered. You must understand the difference between reacting and responding. Reacting is impulsive, responding is intentional, and a high-value man responds. He doesn't rush to escalate. He doesn't shut down, and he doesn't become awkward. He stays centered, and that centered energy allows her to feel understood without a single word needing to be spoken. In modern life, where distractions are everywhere and attention is constantly divided, this level of awareness immediately sets you apart. Most men miss these moments completely. They either ignore the touch or exaggerate its importance. Don't be that man. Be the man who notices. Be the man who remains composed. That's how attraction grows naturally. That's how intimacy develops without pressure. Subtle touch is not really about skin. It's about trust. If she reaches out even briefly, she's offering a small opening. Handle that moment carefully. Handle it with quiet confidence. That's the difference between a passing moment and a connection that slowly grows into something meaningful. 6. When she creates brief distance. Have you ever mistaken her brief distance as rejection, only to realize later that something deeper was happening beneath the surface? Listen closely to this idea. When a woman begins to feel genuine desire, real attachment, and strong emotional intensity, she doesn't always move closer in a straight line. Sometimes she pulls back for a moment, not because interest is fading, but because it's actually growing stronger. When emotions develop faster than her sense of safety, her instinct for protection activates. Carl Jung once expressed it this way: Where love rules, there is no will to power, but before love feels secure, the ego often tries to restore balance. A woman who has experienced emotional hurt in the past rarely rushes blindly into intimacy. Her attachment system seeks closeness, while her self-protection system asks for control. That internal tension often creates behavior many men misinterpret as inconsistency. She might go quiet for a day, she might take longer to respond to a message, then suddenly she returns, warmer, softer, and more open than before. This is not always a game. Often, it's fear and desire negotiating with each other. Understand this clearly. If she steps back briefly, but then comes back engaged, asking questions, investing time, and maintaining the connection, she isn't necessarily retreating from you. She may simply be regulating her emotions. Modern dating culture, with instant messaging and constant availability, amplifies this pattern. In a world of fast attraction and even faster endings, emotional caution can actually be a form of wisdom. This is where ancient Stoic principles give you an advantage. You don't chase frantically. You don't accuse or pressure. You remain steady. You hold your frame. You demonstrate an iron mind. As Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Her temporary distance is an outside event. Your reaction to it is something completely within your control. The Stoic path isn't about suppressing emotions. It's about mastering how you respond. When you answer her distance with calm strength instead of insecurity, you become the kind of safe presence her nervous system is naturally searching for. Stay grounded, stay patient, stay observant. If she returns after pulling away, if her tone becomes warmer, if she begins investing energy again, that is movement toward intimacy, not away from it. Don't confuse emotional processing with rejection, and never punish vulnerability with impatience. Ancient Stoic wisdom teaches a simple chain of truth. Steadiness attracts trust. Trust builds comfort. Comfort invites intimacy. Repeat that to yourself until you understand it deeply. An iron mind does not panic when emotions fluctuate. Instead, it looks for patterns over time. If the overall direction is forward, more sharing, more laughter, longer eye contact, deeper emotional conversations, then the connection is progressing. In Stoic thinking, victory belongs to the man who stays centered, while others react impulsively. Master your emotions, and you master the moment. When fear and desire are competing inside her, your calm presence often becomes the factor that tips the balance. Real victory in love is not loud, it is composed, it is patient, it is powerful. If you recognize this pattern, you're no longer reacting blindly, you're observing with clarity. Most men panic the moment she pulls back. They chase harder, they apply pressure, and in doing so, they destroy what was quietly developing. But you now understand something different. Distance isn't always rejection. Sometimes it's protection. Sometimes it's desire, wrestling with fear. When you stay calm, grounded, and emotionally steady, you become the safe place her heart is quietly testing for. That is power, that is maturity, and that is attraction at its deepest level. So if you're ready to respond with strength instead of insecurity, write this in the comments and claim it. I stay calm when desire meets fear. Own it, live it. Become the kind of presence that makes her feel safe enough to stop pulling away. 7. Observation and behavioral assessment. Observation is not optional, it's essential. When a woman is genuinely moving toward intimacy, she doesn't rush blindly, and she doesn't rely on fantasy. She observes, she listens, she evaluates, she studies you. And she does this, not in a nervous or suspicious way, but with a calm and deliberate awareness that reflects deep female psychology. She notices how you speak to the waiter when the order is wrong. She pays attention to how you handle small inconveniences. She watches how you carry yourself when nobody is praising you. She sees how you react when plans change or things don't go your way. In those moments, she's mapping your emotional patterns. This is one of the most overlooked psychological dynamics in attraction. Don't assume her silence means disinterest, and don't mistake her calm composure for emotional distance. Understand this clearly. She is gathering information. In her mind, she's quietly asking, is this man steady? Is he emotionally safe? Is he consistent? Because for a mature woman, intimacy is never just physical, it's psychological exposure. Before she lowers her guard, she needs to understand the emotional environment she may be stepping into. I once heard a client say something powerful. I fell in love with the way he treated his sister, not his looks, not his status, his behavior. That isn't poetry, it's reality. Women often fall in love with patterns, with reliability, with integrity demonstrated in ordinary moments that most people overlook. This is where many men over 35 miss the signal. They focus on chemistry. She focuses on character. They focus on charm. She focuses on consistency. That's female psychology at work. When what she observes matches what she values, patience, emotional control, respect, her defenses begin to soften. Not suddenly, not dramatically, but gradually. And that gradual softening is one of the clearest signs she's becoming open to deeper connection. Attraction grows when observation confirms safety. This is how lasting love forms in a grounded, mature way, not through grand performances, but through steady presence. In modern life, where many people perform online and hide behind carefully curated images, a woman is looking for congruence. Do your words match your behavior? Do your promises match your follow-through? That's the real psychological principle behind lasting attraction. Be consistent. Be emotionally disciplined. Don't perform. Don't exaggerate. That's how trust is earned. And once trust builds over time, intimacy stops being a question. It simply becomes the natural next step. 8. Anticipation, prioritization, and subtle jealousy. Anticipation, prioritization, and even small signs of jealousy are rarely random. They're patterns, psychological signals that a woman may be emotionally and physically aligning herself with you. If you're a man between 35 and 70, understand this clearly. Attraction at this stage of life is rarely dramatic. It's deliberate, thoughtful, and revealed through consistent small actions. As Maya Angelou once said, when someone shows you who they are, believe them. The same principle applies here. Believe the behavior. Let's start with anticipation. She checks her phone more often when she's expecting your message. Not casually, not out of boredom, but with quiet intention. There's a subtle alertness in her attention. She also remembers small details you mentioned weeks earlier, your favorite drink, the name of your childhood dog, the meeting you were nervous about. That isn't coincidence. That's mental investment. Desire sharpens memory. A woman who is open to intimacy doesn't just hear what you say. She studies it. She stores those details because you matter to her. Don't overlook that. A high-value man recognizes when a woman is emotionally leaning toward him. Then comes prioritization. She begins to rearrange parts of her schedule to make space for you. Maybe she shifts appointments, finishes work earlier, or creates small openings in her calendar that didn't exist before. Desire reorganizes priorities. That's not poetry, it's psychology. Time is the resource people guard most carefully. When she gives you her time, she's giving you importance. You might also notice subtle physical signals when you enter a room. She straightens her posture. She crosses and uncrosses her legs. She quickly reapplies lip gloss before seeing you. When a woman deliberately chooses a certain outfit, knowing she'll run into you, it's not simply about vanity, it's a signal. It's her unspoken way of saying, you matter to me. A man who wants to truly attract women has to learn how to recognize effort. Effort is attraction in motion. Then there's the quiet form of jealousy. Not loud drama, Not accusations, just a small pause when you casually mention another woman. Maybe her tone changes slightly, or her eyes narrow for a brief second. Jealousy like this usually reflects emotional investment. A woman rarely feels territorial about someone she considers temporary. That reaction appears when she sees real potential, and that difference matters. Don't try to provoke it just to test her. Don't play games. Stay steady and grounded. Masculine energy remains calm under pressure. It doesn't chase emotional reactions, it observes and leads. Here's the reality. When anticipation begins to build, when her priorities slowly shift, and when subtle jealousy appears, deeper intimacy usually isn't far away. But your response matters. Don't rush the moment. Don't boast or become careless. Stay present. Be decisive. That's how a high-value man operates. He understands that attraction grows in layers, not in sudden leaps. He protects the emotional space she is gradually opening. By respecting that space, he strengthens his masculine presence and continues attracting women naturally, without forcing anything. Learn to read the signs, respect the signals, lead with composure. That's how interest evolves into intimacy, with strength, clarity, and control. 9. Anticipation, prioritization, and subtle jealousy. A mature man should understand this. One of the clearest signs that a woman is ready for deeper intimacy isn't loud, dramatic, or theatrical. It often shows up as quiet availability, consistent presence, and genuine comfort when she's alone with you. When she stays longer than she originally planned, when she lingers even though the conversation could have ended, when she subtly creates opportunities for the two of you to be alone, she's communicating something meaningful without announcing it directly. She's not rushing, she's not performing, she's choosing. And choice is everything. As Maya Angelou once said, when someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time. If she repeatedly chooses to spend time with you, especially in calm, private moments, that isn't random. That's intention. In a world where distractions never stop, and attention has become a form of currency, a woman who offers you her uninterrupted time is offering something valuable. Notice that. Respect it. An iron mind recognizes that intimacy begins long before anything physical occurs. It starts when silence feels comfortable, when her breathing slows around you, when her shoulders relax, when the pauses between words stop feeling awkward and begin to feel warm. Ancient Stoic wisdom teaches that real connection grows from inner stability, not impulse. Stoicism isn't about chasing signals, it's about recognizing alignment. If she opens up emotionally, shares personal thoughts, or reveals vulnerabilities she doesn't show everyone, she's inviting you into her inner world. That space is private. Protect it. When she sits close to you without tension, when she stops checking her phone, when she allows quiet pauses without filling them with unnecessary noise, understand what's happening. Comfort forms the foundation of intimacy. Comfort builds trust, and trust opens the door to something deeper. Don't confuse loud flirting with genuine readiness. Instead, notice calm presence. Notice steady eye contact that doesn't quickly look away in discomfort. Notice relaxed posture. Notice when she subtly closes the physical distance between you. These are quiet confirmations, and here is the instruction. Don't rush. Don't disrupt the natural rhythm with impatience. An iron mind remains composed. Stoic philosophy reminds us that self-control creates attraction, while desperation destroys it. If she seeks quiet moments alone with you, respond with steadiness, not pressure. Stay grounded, be decisive, and most importantly, be attentive. In the modern world, many men end up ruining good opportunities, either by overthinking every small detail or by moving far too quickly. The smart approach is to do neither. Instead, learn to notice the pattern. She stays longer, she becomes more relaxed, she begins to open up, and she gradually chooses closeness. That's what readiness looks like when it unfolds naturally. The philosophy of Stoicism teaches something simple but powerful. First, master yourself. When you have control over yourself, you can read situations more clearly, and when your perception is clear, your actions happen at the right time. In matters of intimacy, timing is everything, so maintain your frame, lead calmly, allow the connection to deepen at its own pace. Success in relationships rarely belongs to the impatient man. It belongs to the one with an iron mind, the man who understands that when a woman feels safe, relaxed and completely comfortable being alone with him, intimacy is no longer a question of if, it becomes a matter of when. If you truly understand that principle, then you also understand something important. This isn't about chasing anyone. It's about recognizing the moment when she chooses you, when she stays longer than expected, when she quietly creates moments where it's just the two of you, when she feels safe enough to allow silence to exist comfortably between you. That isn't coincidence. That's readiness built on comfort and trust. Don't rush it. Don't over-explain it. Be the man who respects the moment and leads with calm confidence. If this message resonates with you, reflect on this idea. I recognize comfort as the foundation of real intimacy. And remember, true intimacy never begins with pressure. It begins with presence. 10. Availability and comfort in solitude. Often, the strongest signal isn't what she says. It's not even what she outwardly does. The real sign appears in the internal shift happening inside her. Beyond the smiles, the eye contact, and the subtle touches, there is an emotional movement that reveals everything. At some point, different timing for every woman, something changes. Resistance begins to soften. Caution slowly turns into curiosity. Curiosity gradually grows into desire. And eventually, desire can transform into surrender. But it's important to understand what that word truly means. Surrender is not about control. It's not about pressure. And it certainly isn't about pushing harder. In reality, surrender is the psychological decision to open up because she feels safe. That idea sits at the heart of female psychology. When a woman begins to emotionally trust someone, her entire nervous system changes. Her brain slowly lowers its guard. The silent threat assessment that runs in the background of every interaction starts to fade. Her body shifts from a defensive state into one of calm connection. This is biology, not imagination. Hormones connected to bonding, such as oxytocin, increase. Her breathing becomes slower. Her voice softens. Emotional safety and physical readiness are deeply connected. If you ignore this truth, you miss the entire point of real psychological connection and healthy attraction. Don't rush the process. And don't mistake impatience for confidence. Instead, become the man who understands timing. Become the man who notices the internal shift before he takes action. Many men focus only on physical signals and completely overlook the emotional transformation happening underneath. That's a serious mistake. The real signal is comfort. She lingers a little longer. She shares something slightly more personal than before. She holds eye contact just half a second longer. None of that is random. It's her way of testing emotional ground. Your response should be steady, not explosive excitement that appears too quickly. When you stay calm, when your voice remains grounded, you communicate something powerful without saying a word. When your presence feels steady and grounded, her body naturally interprets that as safety. This is female psychology at work. Safety creates openness, and openness gradually awakens desire. Understand this clearly. Surrender is something a woman chooses. It's an act of trust. When she allows herself to become vulnerable, she is quietly communicating something powerful. I believe you can handle this side of me. That space is sacred. Don't treat it casually. Don't make careless jokes at the wrong moment. Don't suddenly switch into a performative mode. Simply stay present. That is how genuine love develops, through connection rather than confusion. The strongest men are rarely the loudest ones. They are the most centered. They create an emotional atmosphere where tension fades on its own. Psychological awareness is not about manipulation. It's about understanding how emotional safety, biology, and attraction connect with each other. When you realize that bonding hormones like oxytocin increase through trust, eye contact, shared laughter, and gentle, calm touch, you stop trying to force outcomes. Instead, you begin creating space for connection to grow naturally. For men between 35 and 70, this principle becomes even more meaningful. At that stage, life isn't about games anymore. It's about forming real, meaningful connections. You're looking for depth, not unnecessary drama. So pay attention to the internal emotional shift. Watch for the moment when her resistance softens. Listen for warmth in her voice. Notice when her body language begins to mirror yours. That's the transition from guarded to open. That's the green light many men are searching for. But remember, you must continue leading with steadiness. Desire grows best in environments where a woman feels emotionally secure. That's a core principle of female psychology. It's also how love develops without chaos. Master this, and you won't need to chase intimacy. You'll simply allow it to unfold. 11. Lingering, testing, and emotional intelligence. Lingering is rarely accidental. When a woman lingers, she is deciding something internally. She stays in the conversation a little longer. She asks one more thoughtful question. She finds another small reason not to leave just yet. Don't overlook those moments. Recognize them. That is investment. Time is the most honest currency people have. When someone spends it freely with you, it often signals curiosity and comfort. A woman once said, after being widowed for nearly a decade, that the most important thing wasn't immediate passion. Instead, she explained, it was how calm I felt sitting next to him. That statement reveals everything. It wasn't fireworks or dramatic emotions that mattered. It was calmness. That sense of safety created space. And within that space, desire slowly grew. You need to understand this. Desire matures in peace, not under pressure. If you want to attract women in a lasting way, become the man whose presence lowers her defenses instead of raising them. That is masculine energy at its best, steady, grounded, and unshaken. Right before she fully lowers her guard, she may test you, not with childish games, but with depth. She might bring up a serious topic from her past. She might reveal a personal fear. She might even pull back slightly just to observe how you respond. Don't panic, don't chase, stay centered. This isn't manipulation, it's risk assessment. Internally, she's asking herself a simple but important question. If I give my heart to this man, will he protect it or mishandle it? That question matters more than attraction, chemistry, or charm. A high-value man understands that emotional safety comes before physical intimacy. When she becomes a bit distant, it doesn't always mean she has lost interest. Sometimes it means she's measuring your emotional stability. Do you react with insecurity, or do you respond with calm confidence? Your patience can activate her internal green light. Your pressure can switch it off. Emotional intelligence is incredibly attractive because it signals strength without aggression, control without force. Listen carefully. Pay attention to shifts in her tone. Notice pauses in conversation. Observe when her energy softens around you. And when she opens up emotionally, don't interrupt her vulnerability by immediately trying to solve everything. Sometimes the most powerful response is simply to listen and understand. Be present. That is masculine energy in action, measured, observant, and composed. In modern dating, where distractions are endless and attention often feels cheap, your ability to remain grounded immediately sets you apart. A high-value man doesn't rush intimacy. He allows it to develop naturally. He understands that when a woman feels emotionally safe, her desire grows on its own. If you want to attract women who are mature, self-aware, and ready for something meaningful. Refine your emotional intelligence. Master your reactions. Control your pace. Be the calm presence in the room, because in the end, she isn't only choosing a partner, she's choosing a nervous system she can trust. 12. Consent, pace, and emotional readiness. Consent, pace, and emotional readiness are not small technical details. They are the foundation. Remember that clearly. Consent must always be verbal, clear, and mutual. It's not implied. It's not guessed. It's not assumed. Just because the vibe seemed right. If she hasn't clearly said yes, then it isn't a yes. Simple as that. A high-value man understands that certainty is attractive, clarity is attractive, safety is attractive, confusion is not. At the same time, recognize this important truth. Psychological readiness and physical permission are not identical. A woman might feel desire and still need reassurance. She might feel strong attraction and still move carefully. That isn't contradiction, it's human complexity. Don't mistake hesitation for rejection. Don't interpret thoughtfulness as disinterest. Sometimes her body may be warming up while her heart is still catching its breath. Think of it like stepping into water. She may want to swim, but she'll still test the temperature with her toes first. If you splash her or push her in, you destroy trust. If you remain calm, steady, and patient, she walks in willingly. That's the difference. Rushing damages trust. Respecting her pace strengthens it. If you want to attract women in a meaningful way, understand this: desire grows in safety. It expands through emotional security. When she feels respected, when she feels heard, when she knows her no would be honored just as much as her yes, her walls begin to lower naturally. Not because she was pressured, but because she chose to open up. Masculine energy isn't about speed, it's about stability. It's about containment. It's about being grounded enough to hold her vulnerability without trying to control the outcome. Stay calm, stay patient, stay clear. That is masculine energy at its most powerful. A high-value man doesn't chase a moment, he creates an experience. And here is something many men over 35 eventually realize: intimacy is not a race, it's a rhythm. When you rush, tension appears. When you respect timing, anticipation grows, and anticipation deepens desire, while pressure suffocates it. She might lean closer one evening and seem slightly distant the next. That doesn't automatically mean she changed her mind about you. Often it simply means she is calibrating her emotions. Your role is to stay steady. Don't react emotionally. Don't withdraw your warmth just because she slowed the pace. That's insecurity speaking. Instead, respond with reassurance. We can move at your pace. Simple. Direct. Powerful. When a woman realizes that her emotional readiness matters just as much as her physical comfort, something shifts inside her. She relaxes, her guard lowers, trust begins to take root, and trust is the gateway to genuine intimacy. If you want to be a high-value man, act like one. Don't pressure, don't assume, never interpret silence as consent. Be the man who normalizes clarity. Be the man who understands that real masculine energy creates safety first and passion second. Do that, and you won't just attract women, you'll attract trust, depth, and connection that lasts far beyond a single moment. Conclusion: 12 signs a woman is ready for intimacy with you. My friend, if you've stayed with me until this point, then you already understand something many men never fully realize. Real intimacy isn't chaos, it isn't confusion, and it definitely isn't a guessing game. When a woman truly wants to share her time, her presence, and her trust with you, the feeling is calm, warm, and intentional. You don't need to chase, you don't need to solve complicated puzzles, and you certainly don't need to perform tricks. You simply notice her moving closer. You sense that she's choosing you. You watch her softness appear naturally, without pressure. That is the signal. And when that moment comes, your role isn't to rush, it isn't to brag, and it definitely isn't to overthink. Your role is simple. Be worthy of that trust. Stay steady. Stay grounded. Become the kind of man who can hold that trust without breaking it. Because intimacy that is given freely is a gift, and gifts deserve care. So here is my sincere advice. Don't focus on getting intimacy. Focus on becoming the man who naturally inspires it. Develop your character. Control your emotions. Lead with calm strength. When you do that, you won't have to force anything. The right woman will naturally lean closer. Stay sharp. Stay steady. And I'll see you in the next video.